is America.
America!
I do love America.
Be a part of the show at 850-233-9988. The Kramer Show on NewsTalk at 101.
August 29, 7:06 in the morning. Scott Mager from Mager Paruas and the Storm Help Team is with us. If you have a question about legal stuff for post-Hurricane Michael, this is your guy. Hop on, 850-233-9988. Good morning, Mr. Mager. How are you today?
Great. How you doing, pal?
I'm all right. We have Dorian that's on the way, and so we're monitoring that pretty closely. What are you hearing?
Well, it seems to me that the storm is going to be at least a Category 3 and may leak into a Category 4 based on my decades of experience. And I think it's going to hit, Central Florida at the least.
Yeah.
And it is probably going to come across and really hit the Panhandle again, too, because the north side of the storm is always the worst. And so residents should be ready. I can tell you that every single listener and every listener's friend and every friend of those listeners' friends should be writing a letter to their insurance company saying, "Dear insurance company, as you know, we have made specific and timely claims for damages for Hurricane Michael, and to this date you have not confirmed payment of all of the damages that we have. We are giving you this final chance before the next storm comes, because if the damages are worse, you will be held responsible for them. Please confirm in writing in the next, 2 days that you have received this correspondence and are either paying the money or explaining in writing the specific reasons why you're not making payment. Love and kisses, you." Because you want to document, every single person wants to document that they have told the insurance company that there is another rain event coming, and they're giving the insurance company every chance to resolve the claim or to commit to resolve the claim prior to this storm coming in, which I can assure you will exacerbate existing problems with people. You don't have to have a Category 5 storm when you have properties that are compromised to do a lot of damage. You only need a lot of rain and wind. And a lot of Category 1, Category 2 storms, even if they're at that level when they get to the Panhandle, can do a tremendous amount of damage because the 6 to 20 inches of rain combined with 40, 50 mile an hour winds are like 100 mile an hour winds when you have a compromised property. And so it is so important for everyone to have something documented in writing with the insurance company that they have made it clear that they are owed X number of dollars and haven't been paid. The second thing that you want to do, and this is particularly important for people who have fixed their homes, but important for everyone, is to make sure that you have taken photographs and video of every imaginable aspect of your property, from the inside to the out. And I'm talking about hundreds of photos, not just a picture of your home. Take a picture of every corner of every window. Take a picture of every aspect of the house. Take a picture of damaged and undamaged parts of your house, your shed, your pool, your pavers, every single aspect. Take pictures and or video so that we can freeze in time exactly what the condition of your property is now. Take all your personal items, your clothing, your furniture, your TV, everything that you have, and take pictures or video of all of those items. So later on, somebody can't claim if there are damages that somehow those items were in good condition prior to the time of the storm. So that if you have, for example, a rain event, and then you have leaks in the roof and it comes down on your carpet or on your furniture, And they say, well, it's not that big a storm. You have pictures of the before and after. This is so important for everyone to do, because you can imagine how difficult it will be for the insurance company to complain and say that was from some other event if you have pictures of the exact condition of your property. And even if your property is compromised and you take pictures, you are freezing in time that a new event did not change the Hurricane Michael required payments. So if you have some damaged property and you take a picture of it, the insurance company can't claim that the new storm caused that. So it is very important for all of you to make sure you spread the word to take pictures or video or both of every aspect of your property, including contents, personal property, and other items. That's very important.
Scott,
the last thing to do is, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Scott Mager from Mager Paruas and the Storm Help Team, 844-800-LAWS. I'm sorry to interrupt you. So we're talking about kind of prepping and getting prepared for what could be Dorian. Go ahead.
And the next thing to understand and make sure you have a copy of your insurance policy. If you don't already have it, make sure you have a copy of your insurance policy, and you know the 800 numbers to call so that you're the first person that calls if there's any storm damage, and you can get somebody out there quickly. Another thing to do that's really important for everyone is to make sure that you have taken steps to protect your property. So if you have, a problem with your roof, you need to make sure there's a tarp or something on it to protect it. If you have an opening in your house, make sure you take a piece of wood or something to attempt to close that off so that you don't have wind-driven rain, which is an exclusion, things that come in through an opening that you could have protected against that then cause damage. These are very important things for everyone to undertake, as separate and apart from the typical, preparatory things of getting water and getting canned goods and getting flashlights and candles. That is very important for every single person to do. And I think if you do that, you will find that you will have a tremendously better case in the unlikely event that you have to file another claim, or if you're telling the insurance company that they should be coming out and paying your claim.
This is the last thing that really, literally, the last thing that we need is another storm blowing through. And as you are talking, I'm thinking about, the likelihood that this is going to be even if it impacts eastern Florida, and makes it through the state and gets back out into the Gulf, the idea that it would be a major hurricane hitting here, I can't see that, but I'm not a meteorologist. But at the same time, even if you have a Category 1 or a 2, all the reports that I kept reading this morning have this thing crawling speed, and it's just going to be massive. So you're talking about a very slow, major rainmaker for Mexico Beach, Panama City, Destin, even into Alabama, perhaps Mississippi. And if this thing is that big and it's got that much rain, the impacts on an already crippled infrastructure, an already crippled area from a major Category 5 hurricane, I hate being this way, and I hate having to say it, but I don't really feel guilty because I think we've all got a little bit of that anxiety as we watch this hurricane make its way to Florida because of what we went through last October. And so at this point, we know what could happen. And so listen real close to Scott today, because this could be impactful for here Monday or Tuesday. So there's a lot going on to get yourself buttoned up should something like that happen.
And just think that, remember, you all have had rain events that have nothing to do with storms, that you've talked about have been horrible rain events. You don't have to have a declared hurricane in order to have tremendous amounts of rain, tremendous amounts of wind. It's compounded when you have a hurricane event. So it is highly likely that you are going to get substantial amounts of rain and probably wind, even if this shears off and moves more north than people imagine. And you just have to be prepared properly, not just from the having enough flashlights or canned goods or water, but from these claims, that insurance companies may make about what kind of condition their property's in. So I urge everyone to make sure that you have insurance in place, that you have a copy of the policy, that you've taken these photographs so you have a snapshot of where it's at, and you've taken the steps to prepare yourself, and that you're ready to go in case you have claims after the storm, and that you've written this critically important letter. Do not forget to write this letter. Do not tell your public adjuster to write the letter and then they don't do it because their dog ate their homework or they were busy doing other things. You make sure that this letter gets out because you want to document to the insurance company. They get a chance today, tomorrow, Saturday, Monday to agree to pay you the amount of money they're supposed to pay, or they may have to pay a lot more money because of the consequential damages that result from you having to wait as long as you did. And there's case law out there that says that if an insurance company delays and it causes you other damages, that you may be able to recover not only the contractual owed amounts, but additional consequential damages that may not be related to the storm.
So at this point, if you write the letter between now and, say, Monday, that's going to be helpful.
Tremendously helpful, because you're telling the insurance company, listen, you need to pay me. It's been 11 months, okay? If you're not going to pay me, or 10 months, if you're not going to pay me, you need to tell me why you're not paying me. I can tell you in every case where we filed a suit, we have done just that. We have told the insurance company, hey, we have filed a suit and documented that you haven't paid. And that is why a lot of them are calling in a frantic way to stop us from suing them any further, because they realize it's going to be an expensive proposition for them to defend cases that are indefensible, that are not capable of being properly defended without them wasting tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars of costs and fees. So it's so important for every listener and everybody else to make sure they do this. It will have a profoundly helpful impact. And then finally, if for some reason you and I don't speak again before the storm hits, after the storm, once it is cleared up, take pictures again immediately afterward of the damages, so then you have documented that before the storm, your window was fine. After the storm, it's broken. Before the storm, you didn't have this leak. After the storm, you do. And it's so important for people to do this, and then to immediately call your insurance company and report any claims that you have, should you have any damage, so that you've documented that you have timely and quickly told the insurance company. And I'll tell you, for those people who have had damages that result from this storm, I'll bet you they're going to be calling Scott Mager first. And they're not going to be wasting time on contractors and public adjusters and other people, because they're going to realize that going to the source first is going to end up with a quicker resolution. Just think about it, Kramer. How many cases do I have where within days or weeks of filing suit, the insurance company wants to pay? Imagine if I filed a bunch of suits in November and all of these people got paid in December or January. You could start to see how impressive it is when you have the right people on the job. It's not about trying to testimonialize or trying to say I'm better than anybody. It's just a plain fact that when you have to spend more money as a company to defend this litigation, you're going to look for ways to reduce those costs. And the ways to do it is to pay claims like Scott Mager has filed, because otherwise it's going to cost more. It doesn't cost as much when a general contractor or a public adjuster threatens you because you're just not paying and you have no penalty. And the adjusters are not demanding interest on your money. They're just glad they're getting you whatever money they do get you. You know, under the law, when we sue, they have a big problem because they have to pay attorney's fees and statutory interest and other things. And oftentimes you'll get more in recovery. And that's just the facts. So hopefully people will be savvy. They will protect their property. They will write the letter, and then they will engage the appropriate experts to help them.
All right, let's take a break. More with Scott Mager coming up. If you got questions about post-Hurricane Michael or how to prepare for what could be an event with Dorian, 850-233-9988.
This is better than anything else on the air in the mornings in Panama City.
Hear that? Maybe he's not so great. Maybe he sucks.
More with Kramer in the morning. Next on NewsTalk at 101. This is the Kramer Show on NewsTalk at 101.
All eyes on Hurricane Dorian. Looks like it's going to come in the central part of Florida on the eastern side. Sunday, Monday, central Florida, early Tuesday morning. I'm not really seeing any forecasts about what this thing might do once it comes out back into the Gulf. Scott, I don't know if you've seen any of those forecasts or not either. I've been looking around this morning trying to hunt that down. Looks to me like it's impossible to predict what it would do once it hits land. It will affect, I was just looking, they said that it could affect Tampa as a hurricane, not a major hurricane, but it could likely be a 1 and then scoop back out in the Gulf and from there go pretty much anywhere.
That's true. And the models seem to converge fairly strongly on hitting Florida. I mean, there is a high pressure that may weaken slightly, which may allow the storm to jog slightly more north than planned, and they're going to watch that. As the storm slows down, that tends to make it more likely that it would jog more northward. But I can tell you that if you look at all the spaghetti models, every one of them, except maybe 2 or 3 out of 25, has them hitting in the Florida area and coming across. And the odds with how big a storm it is on you getting a lot of rain are high. And whether you get hurricane-related, winds and rain, or whether you just get rain and wind, is almost irrelevant to the preparation and to the reality that, you're going to have another rain event there in some fashion. Let's hope that these models are all wrong. But if you just use logic, it's going to hit us, at least our side, as a Category 3, or I think the potential for a either high Category 3 or weak Category 4, depending on how it works. And there'll be a lot of rain and wind and power problems and things like that. It is so important for people to do what you and I are talking about and to make sure they've not only documented to the insurance company, but they have taken these photos and done these things. And they have stocked up on supplies, And I'll tell you, over on the East Coast, you already can't get water. It's insane how people are running out and gathering in, these cans of food and bread and water, and the ability to restock is just, not quick enough. And, I've always recommended cities, and I think that Panama City should do this. They should get, 5 18-wheelers, and fill them with water.
Yeah.
With hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of batches of water, so that after the storm, they're ready. And they're not having the problems that they had last time where they couldn't even get supplies in. There are ways to prepare. If you can't overstock a Publix or a Home Depot or whatever big store, Winn-Dixie, with these, water supplies and bread and things like that, you can put them on trucks and put them, into protected areas so that they are right there and available if you can't overstock. There are lots of things that we learned and that we have learned on every storm that city and county officials can do in anticipation of just even a rain event. These are good practice drills for the cities and the counties to pay attention and see what happened before, what were the problems before, and have the resources available ahead of time, including things like preparation on cell tower access. And there are portable cell tower options and things like this that help with communications and people doing these things. But for our purposes, your and my discussion for the last 10 months plus, it is important for people to make sure they have taken every step to protect their property and every step to document that the insurance company is aware. And, I was reading an article yesterday, and they were talking about how insurance companies were closing claims after they made payments in order to report that they had completed, and satisfied a customer, and that many customers didn't know that their claims were closed and, are proceeding along or waiting when the claims are closed and they don't know that their claim is not moving forward. And this happens even when you have public adjusters involved, because some of them don't realize that once a payment is made, that claim isn't closed because they have no letter from the insurance company saying your file is still open. And they have nothing from the insurance company saying that your file is closed. They just don't hear from the insurance company. So it's very important. You and I talked about this throughout. We've tried to educate consumers. I've told, you and other people, I'm willing to come to the city, to the county, to anybody to help educate people on what to do before, during, and after the storm to make sure they're protected, even if this is just a bad rain event, which could create as much havoc as a, quote, hurricane.
Scott Mager from Mager Paruas and the Storm Storm Help Team. 844-800-LAWS, 844-800-LAWS. We'll be back in just a second. We'll talk more about preparing yourself should, Dorian work its way into the Panhandle, which I'm looking at the forecast right now, looking at it. We are right there in that cone. Be back in a second.
This is the Kramer Show on the Good Old Boy Network. News Talk at 101.
Hello?
You're on the air?
Oh, you're on the air. The Kramer Show.
233-99-88.
The Kramer Show. The Kramer Show.
You appear intelligent, but when you open your mouth, the effect is spoiled.
Scott Mager from Mager Paruas and the Storm Help Team with us this morning. Phones are open for you, 850-233-9988, 850-233-9988. We're also kind of covering Hurricane Dorian and watching very, very closely. The track has it hitting, Vero Beach, Cape Canaveral, anywhere between there, wobbling a little bit depending on the forecast. Could be a little more south of there or north. The track yesterday was more north, and I was watching some videos of meteorologists talking this morning, and they said that there's a couple of things about this that are helping strengthen and slow the storm down and pull it a little more south. Of course, the water temp is about 85 degrees. You've got some wind shear that it's going to be hitting there. There's a trough of wet air that's going to help strengthen it too. So it could, in the next 24 hours, become a hurricane category 4 and then jog over through the state of Florida and become a minimal hurricane, Hurricane 1, and then get back out into the Gulf. And then where it goes from there, we don't know. Scott's been talking this morning about preparing yourself for that. It's very important. Look, if there's any area of this country that should know what could possibly happen with a hurricane, it is us.
There's no doubt about that. And I'll tell you that, people need to take this seriously and to make sure they've done the things that you and I have talked about to make sure that they have properly, informed the insurance companies. And you and I are going over this multiple times, not only because different people listen at different times, but it's the type of radio show that candidly, Kramer, this should be replayed, either throughout the day or every day, because people need to be reminded how important it is to do the things that we talked about, including taking these photos and those snapshots and videos and making sure you have your insurance policy, which, by the way, you can get from your insurance agent. But you could pick up a phone, you could call your insurance agent, and in 5 minutes, 10 minutes max, they can email you this policy, or you could go to the insurance agent's office and pick up a hard copy of it. But it's always great to have a copy of that, because not only will give you the 800 number to call, but then you have it available for your lawyer or adjuster to immediately look at what coverages are available to you. But it's so important for everyone to understand that on the basis of what you and I have experienced, this nightmarish delay that has gone on, this impossibility to get insurance companies to fully pay all of the amounts of monies that they should be paying, that the reality is we need to make sure that we're as protected as possible and that everybody has taken the steps to give themselves the best chance for protection and for recovery.
Yeah, and definitely taking the pictures. That's one thing. Listening to you earlier talk about that, I have not done that. I mean, honestly, I hate myself for not doing that. But I'm going to go home today and not only take a bunch of pictures, but take some video. Seems to me like the video is a very, very good storyteller, and it only takes just mere moments to do. You are up with Scott Mager. It's the Kramer Show, News Talk at 101. Go ahead.
Yes, I just have a comment to make with this possible coming storm. Everybody that's had damage and they've done repair, I start today documenting with a camera everything we've done. May not be this storm, but it may be on in the season some. So I suggest everybody to go out, take as many pictures of the work that you have completed on your house. That way you can prove if something does happen, the insurance company won't have more questions.
You're absolutely right. Thanks for the call, and I'll tell you something else that I want to sort of reiterate for everyone. It's not taking pictures from 20 feet away. Make sure that when you're taking video or pictures, you have close-ups so you can get 1 foot from a location. If you're trying to take a picture of vents or windows or door openings or small scratches or dents, get in very close so we can see a bunch of different angles so that in case one particular type of view is not as clear, you have other types of views. And that's very, very important, because just think about it. If you're trying to prove that you have damage, or you're trying to prove that you didn't have damage to begin with and now you do, or that your clothing or your furniture was in better condition than it was, or your carpet was not wet or damaged before, imagine how powerful it is when you can see the video yourself and it would convince you. And that's what's very important about this. There's nothing stopping you from taking 1,000 photos or 500 photos, not 3. And I think that that's important because it just strengthens your case, and it doesn't take that long to do.
Yeah, what else can people do? And what else should people be thinking about? At this point, this is a named storm. Now, let me make sure that I get this right. After a storm has already been named, you can't change your insurance. Is that right?
That's correct. Most insurance companies will not bind after they name a storm. Sometimes insurance companies won't bind when you get within a certain amount of distance. So, for example, I could still get insurance in Texas, even though the storm is named Dorian, because the odds on it hitting Texas are low. So it is distance as well as the naming of the storm. So, but yes, you want to make sure that you do that. But I can't emphasize enough that it is important for you to do what you can, not only to sort of photograph or video, but to protect your property. You know, if you have, for example, furniture outside, or if you have a hole that is visible, or if you have some things that are problematic, please try to take the steps to protect your property so you don't have 10 inches of rain pouring in through a hole and creating a problem that may not be covered by insurance. It's very, very important for you to mitigate, to try to take those steps to make sure that you have at least tried to mitigate against further damage. But it is so important that you go engage in this process that you and I are talking about. So important to preserve your claim and also to show the insurance company that, hey, I can prove to you I have damages. And things that people often don't photograph is they don't photograph the inside of their homes. They don't photograph the furniture. They don't photograph, antiques or pieces of art. They don't photograph things which are hard to see. Say you have a window system that is either leaking or is going to be problematic, and you didn't take really close-up or good photos of it. Door openings, your screened-in enclosure on your porch if you have that. Take video because that will help you immensely later on. It is so important to do that. And if you know somebody who can get on your roof, if you know somebody who can get up and take some of those photographs, have those taken too. There's no downside to creating photographic evidence that will help you, and no downside to making sure the insurance company knows that they need to be paying you before this next rain event comes.
Caller, you're up with Scott Mager from Mager Paruas and the Storm Help Team. Go ahead.
Yes, I want to find out. My insurance company canceled on me, and trying to get insurance with my house still apart is impossible because the insurance companies that I talked to want the house completely back together. And so what could I do about that? Is there anything that can be done about that?
Well, you might have a problem getting insurance right now. The best thing I can tell you to do is if you dial the 844-800-LAWS number, 844-800-LAWS, we can try to put you in touch with some insurance agents that might be able to bind some coverage for you. But otherwise, you really need to look at whether the insurance company actually canceled, said that they're not going to renew you. That's a big difference. Canceling you is you no longer have coverage. Non-renewing you means at the end of your term, they are not going to renew you. And there are very strict rules that insurance companies must engage in before they can cancel you. They can always choose not to sell you insurance in the future, but they cannot cancel you without really good reason, like you didn't pay for your insurance premiums. They can't just unilaterally cancel you or terminate you unless they've paid you all the money that they owe you. So they may have additional damages if you suffer more damages as a result of their improper cancellation. So my suggestion to you is to call the 844-800-LAWS number, get some more intel about what your real status is so you know whether or not you're truly covered for this storm or not.
Well, they canceled my insurance on my renewal date. And
Okay.
The reason for cancellation was excessive claims.
Have they paid you for the money that they owe you?
No, I had to get a public adjuster. I'm with a law firm.
Okay. Oh, you're with a law firm. Has the law firm sued the insurance company and claimed that as a result of the cancellation, you could suffer additional damages, additional consequential damages, because you may be able to recover even more money and even triple damages or even more if the insurance company has placed you in this emotional position where you have to worry about additional damages. If they haven't, you should be educating that law firm to make sure they've done that, because we do it in every case.
Oh, okay, because it's your law firm.
Great. Then you can sleep the sleep of angels. If we've sued on your behalf,
okay.
Life is good, everything is wonderful, and you can go and have a hot fudge sundae after this particular phone call, and you are going to be happy.
Am I relieved?
My friend. It is a great day, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Major.
Anytime, pal.
Can the rest of us go out and have a hot fudge sundae? That sounds really excellent right now.
Oh, it warms my heart when I hear somebody call up and say, Scott Major has sued on your behalf because our record is just stupid good. And it's just so wonderful because I know they're going to be protected and we're going to be recovering every dollar that they wanted or some large amount of money. It's going to make them happy. And it's just fantastic. So, I tell everybody it's very important to take these steps that you and I are talking about, and really to be careful about this because this is an opportunity for you to make sure you preserve your case in a way that you might not have done before Hurricane Michael. Few people took photos of their own property before the storm.
By the way, I was just sitting here thinking too earlier when we were talking about how sometimes people, they'll be really intense in watching the news and the weather, and the storm will veer off or it'll weaken, and I'm afraid sometimes because certain parts of the country will kind of ignore it until the very, very last minute. Don't think we got to worry about that here this time. 850-233-9988. 850-233-9988. Scott Mager from Mager Paruas and the Storm Help Team. StormHelpTeam.org is the website. More to come with Scott.
Good morning. More live and local in the morning. Coming up next with Kramer. This is News Talk at 101.
It's News Talk at 101. It's the Kramer Show. Unfortunately, we're having to have the conversation about Hurricane Dorian, where it will go ultimately, what's the path, and what will be the strength. Although I don't think anybody in the weather world would say that we're not going to get a ton of rain out of this thing. I mean, it's just going to be a massive storm, and I mean, thank God it's not going to be a Category 5 ripping up through the gut of the Panhandle, but who knows what can happen and how much the rain will, how much rain we'll get out of the thing. I heard a forecast earlier. Some parts of Florida have already been forecast with over a foot of rain. So what can you do to get yourself buttoned up? Scott's been talking about that this hour. The main thing at some point soon, go and just take pictures of everything. And as he said, don't just take pictures from far away and don't just take pictures of the outside. Get in there. Everybody's got a phone. I mean, gosh, the cameras nowadays are greatness on everybody's phone. And those, the phones can hold tons of pictures. So sometime between now and over the weekend, do that. Have a little project. God, it would take less than 10 minutes.
No, I'll tell you. That just make sure you take all the other steps, like if there's any loose branches out there, make sure they're cut away. Don't drain your pool. Make sure that if you have a pool cage, to remove the doors. Make sure you turn off the electrical power, to the pool so you don't have problems. Secure, loose objects. Make sure that, if you have any exposed, metal roof stuff, you need to be checked to make sure that you don't have any problems. Make sure that you prepare with all of the things that we talked about to if you have any damage that needs to be mitigated to the best of your ability, you want to do that. Those are important things in addition to making sure you have documented the condition of your property and inform the insurance company that they need to pay you because an upcoming rain event is going to happen. I can't say it enough. You're going to get rain. No matter what you all label it, no matter where the storm juts, you're going to get a lot of rain. Prepare for this as if it were a serious rain event, whether it is called a hurricane or not, and I think you will be ahead of the curve.
The latest track is to hit somewhere on the east coast of Florida, somewhere in the central area, and there still is a cone. As we get closer to it approaching, that cone will kind of minimize and will be, even though we have the highest of technology, weather-wise, it's still hard to tell where these darn things are going to go because there's so many.
It's going to jut north. I'm telling you, with that weaker high pressure by Monday or Tuesday, it's probably going to jut a little north rather than a little south. So that bodes well for you all getting the northern side of that storm, which is a lot of rain.
Yeah, so you think it's going to jut? Whereabouts? Do you think it'll go north of, say, Cape Canaveral?
Yes. Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say that it will slow down. It will turn left. The high pressure will weaken a little bit. There is not as much wind shear. The water is extremely warm. I think it will get stronger. And based on, and again, it's my guess, I believe that it will jut a little bit further north than, say, the Broward County and Palm Beach County area. It could jut south, but I believe with the weakened high pressure, and that's just a guess, that it will jut north, then cross over, in the middle of the state or higher, meaning that the northern portion would probably reach you all by the Tuesday, Wednesday time frame, and you'll definitely get quite a bit of rain, even if you don't get 150 mile an hour winds. Even 50 mile an hour winds can be a lot when you have that much rain.
Yeah. All right. Well, Scott, we'll let you go. Look, you button up the hatches as well, my friend, and make sure that you stay safe and do everything to keep yourself safe from all that, because God only knows where it could go and what can happen. It's just kind of an ominous thing to see it on the television screen over and over again. A great hour of content. Thank you so much, my friend. That is Scott Mager from Mager Paruas and the Storm Help Team, 844-800-LAWS. Talk to you soon, bud.
You're the best. Thanks a lot for all you do. Best of luck to all the residents, and call me if you need anything.
There he is. Outstanding. Thank you, bud. Talk to you soon.
This is live and local morning radio. This is Kramer.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.